the basis for countless weapons to come, the first of an era, the M16. Nearing its 60th anniversary since it first saw combat, this rifle is a classic, but why is the core design still so popular today? Maybe old habits just die hard, or is it really just that good? Listen, I'm not going to pretend that I'm extremely knowledgeable about the history behind the subject at hand in this episode. So instead of spewing out false information and fooling you with some bullshit history lesson, I'm just going to copy and paste the Wikipedia article about this thing onto my notepad script. In 1964, the M16 entered U.S. military service and the following year was deployed for jungle warfare operations during the Vietnam War. In 1969, the M16A1 replaced the M14 rifle to become the U.S. military's standard service rifle. The M16A1 incorporated numerous modifications including a bolt assist, chrome-plated bore, protective reinforcement around the magazine release, and revised flash hider. In 1983, the U.S. Marine Corps adopted the M16A2 rifle, and the U.S. Army adopted it in 1986. The M16A2 fires the improved 5.56x45mm M855/SS109 cartridge and has a newer adjustable rear sight, case deflector, heavy barrel, improved handguard, pistol grip and buttstock, as well as a semi-auto and 3-round burst fire selector. Adopted in July 1997, the M16A4 is the 4th generation of the M16 series. It is equipped with a removable carrying handle and a Picatinny rail for mounting optics and other ancillary devices. The M16 has also been widely adopted by other armed forces around the world. Total worldwide production of M16s is approximately 8 million, making it the most produced firearm of its 5.56mm caliber. The U.S. military has largely replaced the M16 in frontline combat units with a shorter and lighter version, the M4 carbine. Phantom Forces includes numerous M16 and AR-15 rifles in its large catalog of weaponry, but the M16A1 is certainly one of, if not the most, unique variant out there. It has an unusually high fire rate for an assault rifle, even faster than most submachine guns. Sitting at 950 rounds per minute, it's only beaten out by the M231. This very high fire rate is due to the weapon using the old M193 5.56x45 ammunition, rather than the modern M855 ammunition. According to the description in-game, its performance differs with poorer penetration and higher velocity, but the powder used means recoil and cycle rate is high. Sounds plausible enough, I guess. Unfortunately, the weapon uses the retro 20-round magazine from the Vietnam War, because the 30-round magazines at the time suffered from reliability issues. This means that you will use up your entire magazine in a fraction of a second, but the reload is a bit quicker than average. The damage is decent. On one hand, it deals a maximum of 30 per hit at close range with a 1x torso and 1.4x head multiplier, making it a 4-shot to the torso and a 3-shot to the head. But the long-range damage is 20, making it a 5-shot, which is somewhat interesting. The muzzle velocity is also high for an assault rifle, 3,000 studs per second. The penetration is a bit pathetic though, 0.8 studs, whereas most other assault rifles have around 1.2 studs penetration. The recoil is high, really high. I don't know why stylists decided to make it this uncontrollable, but it's practically got the recoil of the M14 battle rifle, with the damage of an SMG. I'm not sure how to explain it. I didn't even know a gun in this game could have recoil this weird. I think it has a little more vertical recoil than average, but with a lot more horizontal recoil. And the high fire rate doesn't really help. If you remember my rating system from the Desert Eagle XIX episode, then the M16A1 in its stock configuration gets a 4 to 5 star vertical recoil, 2 out of 5 star horizontal recoil, and an I don't fucking know out of 5 star recoil recovery speed. Now you must be thinking, god damn, this gun is utter dog shit, I wonder why the hell this thing even exists in the game. And my answer to that is, yeah, same, but you're also in luck. M855 ammunition can be equipped. Use this. the shit-ass M193 ammo, you're better off using an MP7 or something. Same fire rate, easier recoil, similar damage, better penetration, but this is a completely different gun once you use M855 in it. The maximum damage gets increased to 36, multipliers stay the same, and minimum damage gets lowered to 19, making it a 3-shot in close range and a 6-shot in long range. The fire rate is also lowered to 800 rounds per minute, making it significantly more controllable. The penetration also increases to 1 stud, but velocity is lowered to 2800 studs per second, which is still good. The damage drop-off range is worsened quite a bit, meaning you will stop killing in 3 shots quicker than it takes to stop killing in 4 shots if you're using the standard M193 ammo. The actual recoil doesn't really change, but because of the lower fire rate, I feel like it is a little more controllable. My preferred attachments are a T-brake and a stubby grip, but the muzzle brake actually works surprisingly well with M193 ammo. With the T-brake and stubby grip paired with M855, I give this gun a 4 out of 5 star vertical recoil, 3.5 out of 5 star horizontal recoil, and I still don't really know out of 5 star recoil recovery speed. The gun comes with the Cold Retro Scope, a 3x magnification optic, but with the bad recoil with M193 and the bad minimum damage with M855, this is pretty useless. It does look sorta cool though. Speaking of looking cool, using any other sight on this weapon looks incredibly dumb, because the Picatinny rail system was not around back then. The M16 has to have a special rail that's kind of bolted onto its proprietary mounting system that the retro scope uses. Luckily, the iron sights aren't that bad, but a low zoom red dot sight like a mini sight is probably best. However, I prefer fashion over function, and I really like the look of the carry handle, so I just raw dog it and use the iron sights. It's also maybe best if you don't use a decent optic, because then you will truly understand how wildly inaccurate this rifle becomes with M855. The ammo description in-game says M855 has erratic performance when fired in the M16A1. Bullets tumble in the air. Now, the previous description sounded somewhat believable, but when I read this one I attribute it to be a load of lies. In real life this might be a bunch of lies, but not in game. Your gun will miss half of its shots beyond around 150 studs, even when tap firing from an unmoving position. When I first picked this gun up, I was under the assumption that it was actual garbage, which it is, unless you use M855, where it becomes a lot more competitive. Now, I'm not really much of a degenerate, so I'm not sure how true this statement is, but I think it's pretty similar to the HK416 with 300 Blackout. Considering its low rank unlock of 28 and low kill requirement of 500 for M855, it's actually a pretty decent option for new players to Phantom Forces. It's best suited for close to medium range, and is practically unusable in long range, depending on the ammunition. Like a pile of shit, it has a lot of potential, but at the end of the day, if you don't do anything to foster that potential, then it's still just a pile of shit. This hypothetical pile of shit can be turned into fertilizer, which can then be used to nourish a growing farm, and the M16A1 can be turned into a pretty solid weapon with the right attachments. Returning to our opening statement, we can understand why this design is still so popular by referring to that pretty strange pile of shit analogy I just made. In the Vietnam War, when this gun was first introduced into combat, soldiers hated it and it was plagued with issues. But over time, those issues got fixed, and the weapon improved, leading us to the M4A1 that is typically in military use now. The M4A1 is a descendant of the M16A1, morphed into the best it could be. Kind of a poetic ending. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.